Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Literary Hour. Thank you for coming to join us on this gorgeous Friday evening. It's really nice outside. So, for those of you who have made time, we say thank you. Prof, how are you?
I'm fine, Jackie. I hope you are fine as well.
What are you doing today? Or what did you do today?
Well, because I stayed up long hours last night, I slept a good bit of today.
Mm,
hmm
yeah. Is it hot down there or no?
Yes, it is. Yeah, I mean, it's doing what 90 plus
Ooh.
for several days now. That's how it's been.
We're lucky we've had wind, so it's nice here.
Oh, is that right? Okay,
Yes,
all right.
yes. Yes. So for those of you who are joining us today, we have a special treat for you. We're going to be discussing Professor Nangbe's latest book, which is Thank You, My Brother.
Thank
So
you.
this is Professor Nangbe's latest book. We're going to be discussing it, and he's going to tell us how to get it. He's going to tell us some things about the book. So that's what we're going to do today. We're just going to chill because
Yeah.
every day we're here. We're so intense in reading and
Mm,
discussing. So
this
today
Bishop
we're going to
light
just
one.
be light and talk to Professor Nangbe. So, Prof, first of all, how did you conceive of this book?
Uh, one there are a couple of questions that have been, racing through my mind. One happened to be that of higher education. Also thinking about women's education, and then to add an aspect which has to do with the question of what does it take? What will it take someone from the slums of our country, uh, as if there's anywhere in our country really where you have it easy in a developing world. But I wanted to exploit the question of what will it take for a young person coming from a poor home from the slums to make it all the way to college. So that became a little more of the preoccupation this time that I brought to the book.
And before we delve into the book, how long did it take you to write the book?
Um, an artist often carries a number of things in his or her head, and it's like you have a whole line of activities, and at some point there is one that pops its head higher than the others, and that you gravitate towards. So the question of how long it took me to write this, for the actual work, we're talking about 2 solid years.
Oh,
But that coming of the book actually predates the 2 years. The pre-dating period was more of when the idea was kind of germinating in my mind. So two, and then I said, well, I am going to do this one. Come hell or high waters. That's yes,
so once you put the book together, then you
yeah,
find I like the cover of the book.
yeah.
So who did the cover and how did you find this person?
Well, when I was doing a nation of plenty, plenty people, this simple language uh, history book of Liberia. That was when I was able to get in touch with a fellow who and I had been part of the Liberia Association of Writers. In fact, he served as one of the past presidents. Think some time ago, I think when you had another interview with me, uh, this lady Christine. Lardner
Okay.
uh, was asking about some of the people to get in touch with regarding the Writers Association, and I mentioned his name. One James Dwallow.
Okay.
Yes, James Dwallow. I got in touch with him. I said I wanted a. I could have gotten some other artists from Ghana, but I wanted it to be Liberian. So
Okay. Is he
luckily,
based in Liberia?
yes, yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. He's a young fellow. He a story about him. He was born in the 80s. What do you call the generation? The Z?
Z? Is it
Yes,
Generation Z? I think I.
Generation Z. Yes, and
Yeah.
many of them are very, very creative and all that. So James, brother Dwallo mentioned him and said since he and I started working together, he's been marvelous. He's been marvelous, really. I will think up an idea, and just like other things go, whether it is in technology and what have you, the idea pops up, and then you have one, two, or three people mulling over it, and then something, one or two drafts are done, and then you land on the right one and you take up with it. That's what we've been doing. So it started with the A Nation of Plenty, Plenty People, and then the latest two-volume children's reader I did. Something that can be read by uh, students from well, I say two to four, second grade to fourth grade. So I have those. I've worked on with the fellow Fumba Kroma, called
Okay.
Fumba Kroma. Yeah.
So it took you 2 years to complete the book,
Yes, yes,
and then you
2 years.
published the book. And
Yeah,
where can we get the book?
Amazon. It's coming. At a point, I will have to give that information, but it will be on Amazon as many
Okay.
of that show.
Okay. So without betraying anything, just tell us the gist of the book before we go into.
Well, this yes,
Is
this
you have a heroine now, right?
yeah. Well,
Okay.
yes, yes.
Okay.
Uh, Teresa pops up. I don't ask me how we got the Teresa name,
And the
but
setting, the setting is in Yuku Town.
yes, the setting,
Okay.
much of the setting is in Nukru Town. Yes,
Okay.
the borough, Saigon, they call it. Yes, the setting is in Nukru Town. Yes, and this young lady, we meet her when she was a kid, in elementary school, and uh, and then something happened. She
So
had
so
a
so it's a buildings roman.
well, something of that sort.
Okay, that's all. You buy the book and read the book,
Yeah,
but it's a
yes,
buildings roman about
yes,
the
yes,
evolution of a person.
yes.
Yes,
Evolution. Yes, that's
evolution of
right.
a person.
Yes, that's what it is.
Yeah. So,
Plain evolution of a person. Yes. So
but
she goes.
Prof, you've written a lot of books,
Mm-hmm,
a lot of books. And like I said, we wouldn't ask you which one is more precious to you,
mm-hmm.
but this is one in a long line of books
Yes,
you've written.
yes.
And do you see the impact that your work they're having on the Liberian population? Do you,
Well, except in recent time, except the little readers, the children's readers, every now and then, either on Facebook or Messenger, someone will say, "Oh, you are Prof. Nagbe. I've read so many of your, that sort of a
yeah,
thing." And again, the question of the impact, I think it will be more of the readership itself. People coming. The more like I think I remember Ben Ben yeah, Franklin Ben Weller asked the question about the impact, and I said, well, you know, all the writer needs to do is to evolve a story, and at some point in time, the story catches on with the affirmation and the confirmation by those who've read it to say, it's my story you are telling. Thank you for telling the story. And the more life stories are told, I guess the more there is some bonding, uh, some love evolves, and when someone recognizes himself or herself in the story,
Yeah.
either that person himself or herself, or the region of the country, the names, the storylines, and what have you. So the affirmation begins the impact. That's what I wanted to do. Affirmation begins the impact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was somebody who said, we read to know that we are not alone.
We read to know that we are not alone. That
Yeah.
is, again, that idea of to know that we are not alone. You know, aloneness has a way of depressing people. Aloneness. I know there are other people who, by nature, want to be alone, but we all know about the human story that we are group animals. We are
Yeah.
group animals.
Yeah.
So that is where, for instance, collective memory comes into the picture and all that. So the more we can, affirm our groupness by virtue of those who tell the story. Yeah. Storytellers then become, there is an article that I always talk about when students and I are discussing literature, because I often take the whole idea of literature from the from prehistoric times or from folkloric times, and so when I talk about that, I always bring in the this guy. He's called Steve Evans, and he uh, speaks so much about um, this whole idea of people understanding themselves by understanding their stories that make up their lives and what have you. So that is part of what I try as much as possible to bring to the telling of stories.
And I think when you're writing, I think unless it's really a dark story and it's essential, sometimes the setting does not even matter.
No, but
It's just a story, because I remember, Prof, when I was
yes,
that I used to read Tom Sawyer, right?
yeah, uh-huh.
And when Huckleberry Finn
Yeah,
ran
yeah,
away,
yeah, yeah.
right?
That rascal.
I was like, oh yeah, I want to run away too. So I felt a kinship with
That's
Huckleberry Finn.
that's a key one key
Yeah,
word, the kinship.
yeah.
And when a good story is told, uh, setting really does not matter,
No,
because
no, it doesn't matter.
when we talk about setting, we are talking about the atmosphere, we are talking about the place, we are talking about the time period and what have you. But
Yeah.
certain stories, but look at let's I'm not trivializing it, but look at the Bible. Look at the Bible. We
The
talk
greatest
about,
story
yes,
ever told.
yeah. Look at the every virtually every modern story of life you can find you. So we can set religion aside, but the stories that are told in there, what makes those stories relevant throughout the ages,
Yeah.
throughout places and what have you.
And
That's
I
what
think
we're
I
talking
think
about.
I think also, because I was listening to NPR the other day,
Hmm.
and I think one thing the writer said, and I totally agree. She says, well, a good book can be, this person is good, this person is bad.
Yes.
And you're juxtaposing them, good and bad. Evil
Yes.
and good, things like
And
that. But she says, to make it a great novel, even a bad person, you must be ambivalent. There must be something in that bad person to
yes.
love.
Yes.
So you say, oh, Anna Karenina, for
Yes.
example. You know, you say,
Okay.
okay, she left her husband, she
Mm,
followed this other man, but
mm.
she loved the man. You know, so,
Yes.
so you're justifying
Uh-huh.
some elements of weakness
Yeah.
or weaknesses that is in your own life.
And and that is very much important because look, it is often said that even in the colony of monsters, you are bound to find an angel.
Yes.
So this
Yes.
whole idea of the the stereotypical look of things simply has to cease. One
Yeah.
has to be able to. That reminds me when I was in Fendel during the war. Uh, we had I had just arrived at Fendel. There were people who were there, and one of my Liberia Association of Writers brothers. Uh, I met him there. He was much younger than I was, and you could feel the intensity of the fear in him. And he started giving a lot of these horror stories. And then I called him to a pause and I said, "But is there any small thing here that is good?" And then he checked himself and said, "Oh yes." And then of course he talked about how little more rice was coming in because with those days you had to think about the food element. And he said, "Well, there's some food coming in." And so, even though there were other horrible things in the place there, at least having little rice to eat every now and then proved to be a good news piece of good news that I wanted to hear at that time because I was really a bag of bones during the war. Mhm. So, short of the long is that hey, you know, we might talk about the bad things about a society or a person or what have you, there might be some little thing we can find and run with to give some balance to whatever we are creating or are discussing.
So Teresa in this book,
Yeah.
of course, like we say, it's a buildings romance.
Yeah,
So we know
yes.
that she evolves in the book.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Besides Teresa, there are other people who I guess impact her life along the
Yes,
way.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So
Like, mhm.
is anything of this book autobiography?
No, no, no,
Okay.
nothing, no, no, nothing of that sort. That is not a
Okay. Okay. Not about anybody you know, but it could be
no.
anybody.
Yeah, it could be
It could be
anybody.
anybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
And
right.
I think that is like when people are trying to write stories, we
Hmm.
sometimes they
Hmm.
go from when I was young, and then
Yes,
this happened, this happened, this
yes, yes,
happened,
yes,
or they can choose a pivotal moment in their life
yes,
and then
yes.
go from there.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, but but
Now,
but the important thing is to connect with the reader,
yes,
because
yes.
I know that when I'm reading,
Hmm.
if you don't hold my interest in the first 3 or 4 pages, I'm done.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And yet, there are some things to that too, because sometimes a book may be like a clam. A book may be like a clam. You have to kind of force yourself to open the shells before you see the meat in it. So while it is true for some people, again, that's your own perspective you're talking about. And sometimes, yes, uh, the start of a book might be a little, you know, tasking in terms of what is this person talking about and what have you. That person has to kind of teach you a little, and if you are willing to go with the ride, then it is in the center of it that that talking about that tells me, we talked. I think we talked about that movie right here, 12 Angry Men.
Yes. Yes.
Uh, my students will always, many of them will say, "Well, the start of the movie is not eventful at all. It's not exciting." But I'm glad I stuck with it because in the middle, especially when the people begin to argue and all that kind of a thing, it kind of gets you to the edge of your seat and what have you. So yes, while in some instances the start of the book may not be as exciting as one would expect, sometimes this is where it comes to pushing yourself and seeing what probably in the second chapter or something of that second chapter I'll pick up. The book is a short one, about six chapters. I purposely wanted to make it 6 chapters, and that's all it is.
And there are a lot of autobiographies coming out now by
Mm-hmm.
Liberians who went through the war, to
Yeah,
tell their story, what they
yeah,
went through,
yeah.
and sometimes they go from the beginning. Oh, I
Mm,
was living in Liberia and the
yeah.
war came and I
Mm,
went.
mm,
And sometimes I would say, look, maybe you want to start from an instance,
yeah.
from
Immediate rest.
this piece of
Start
bread in your hand.
start immediate rest.
Yes.
Start in the middle of, and then
Yeah, so you talk about maybe the scarcity of food, like you were
yeah.
saying, and
Hmm.
then from there you can even go back
Yeah.
to
Flashback and
when
yeah.
you had an abundance of food,
Yes, yes,
and
yes.
then just flashback back and forth,
Yes,
so
yes.
there are all these stylistic measures
Yeah.
that you can take
Yeah.
to write your
Hmm.
story,
I,
you
I
know.
I I buy that. Yes, yes.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know. Mhm.
I mean, you and I were discussing the other day about these one-liners that
Mhm.
will hold your
Yeah,
attention,
yeah.
like
Attention or what have you.
Great Expectations.
Yes,
It
yes.
was the best of times, it
Times
was
and
the
the worst
worst of
of times
times,
and what have you.
and
And
and just that one sentence
uh-huh.
carries you,
Yes.
And I was telling you about Cici Dagariba, who
Yeah.
in the book, when you're reading her book, the first line says, "I was not sorry when my brother died."
What? What do you mean you were not
Yes,
sorry?
and and when you hear that, you be like,
Yeah.
oh, 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 I have
Yeah,
to,
yeah,
I have to read this, because how
yeah,
can you not be sorry?
yeah, yeah.
And things like that,
Mhm.
or Zora Neale Hurston, The Eyes Were
Yeah.
Watching God. We talk
Yes.
about that, ships on the sea have everybody's wish on board.
Yeah, yeah, that's
I mean,
right.
things
Uh-huh.
like that,
Hmm. Hmm.
you want to grab that inner cord
Yeah, of
of
the
the person
story,
and
and
say,
yeah,
listen to
yeah,
me, listen to me, I have something to say.
yeah.
And when they're listening to you,
Then you begin to
you have
slowly.
become a successful storyteller
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you're speaking, and then you
yeah,
stop and they say,
yeah.
and then what happened,
And
and then
then
what
what
happened,
happened? Yeah, that's right.
then you know
Yeah.
that you've
So
caught the
it's
person's
yeah,
attention.
it's all, and again, the purpose of the writer uh, cannot be ignored. There
Yes,
is
yes,
something almost immediately he or she wants to project onto you, or wait a little bit. This guy's book, I've talked about it, and I haven't stopped talking about it. William Zenzer. I came across that book when I was in graduate school. Uh, the media studies component of my work out there brought that book in, on writing well. What he says in that book, I've never forgotten. And he said, writing is more like someone deciding to take a journey. And taking this journey, he wants to take you on board, but he cannot so much in a dry fashion say, let's go. No, it is some little humorous thing, or some attention getting thing that person throws in your way. And if you are a successful magician, being able to conjure that person, then why not conjure the person? Because sometimes it's a long journey, and going alone uh, will not make the impact. So you want to bring that person along. So in doing that, you have to. There are multiple ways in which you can conjure that person to, or bait that person to come on with you. So that's part of what you were talking about. Sometimes you are A matter of fact, if you murder someone, you say, I murder him because of XYZ. Something like what Edgar Allan Poe says in The Cask of Amontillado.
Amontillado. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he lays out this whole idea of revenge. He said, 1,000 injuries have I borne, but when he venture on insult, and then he goes on to talk about that. And then he lays out what is revenge? How do you know that a revenge has been what? Has materialized? He say if you avenge yourself and you don't become part of the pain of the avenging, then definitely you've succeeded in the revenge and what have you. So yes, it depends on what the person wants to do. And I agree with you, it has to be done so well that almost immediately a reader will come along or an audience will come along without taking a second thought.
Yeah, I think that too many times people when they're writing, they try to copy somebody else's
Yeah.
style,
Hmm. Hmm.
and while you can acquaint yourself with other books,
Yes.
this is your story,
This is your story.
and
Yeah.
and then again, of course, it depends on if you want to make money
Yeah.
or if you just want to tell a story.
Yes. Yes.
Those are
Again.
all things to factor in. What's your
Yes.
motivation? Is
Yes.
it money, or is it
Hmm.
just to tell your story for people to know?
In fact,
Yeah.
talking about that, when we were in the heyday of the Liberia Association of Writers, we used to have frequent interaction with people in the American embassy. And at one time, someone said, "You guys don't write about sex. You guys, sex sells." You know, so, and we kind of thought about it, and some of I in a lot of my books, I often come a little closer to describing sex episodes, but I don't get into the rock bottom of it. Uh, but there are some who really go head wired into describing the innermost part of an activity and all that kind of a thing. So it depends. Look at
And that
what we look at what we saw, for instance, with the We Are book. We Are book. Just I think what page 13 was Joe chapter 13, right? I
and but
said,
but 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 Prof, another thing also is that there is also a disconnect, because if that person at the American embassy is saying to you sex sells,
uh-huh.
they don't know the community in Liberia.
Yes, yes,
Because at
that's
that time, I remember
yeah,
growing up that there was a time when somebody did a play on television,
yes,
and the guy was supposed to kiss the woman,
uh-huh, uh-huh.
but then the woman was somebody's wife in real life. And
Yeah,
they kept saying, no, he can't kiss her, he can't kiss her. So the book also shows
yeah,
the
yeah,
evolution of time,
yes,
the
yes,
changes that have
uh-huh,
been made
uh-huh,
in the
yeah.
society,
No, that's true.
to say that, what was one discussed undercover
Mhm.
is now totally out in the open.
But this
Even
is
in the newspapers, I remember one time there was a lady who, unfortunately, she was raped and killed on a bridge. She used to
yes,
be
yes, yes,
working
yes,
at
yes.
the
I
Temple
think
of Justice, I think.
yes, 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 yes.
And all they said in the newspaper was somebody tampered with her. So that showed you that
Mhm.
how conservative we were,
Yeah,
and there was nothing good, I mean bad about that. But
yeah,
the society at the
mhm.
time would not so blatantly say
Yeah,
rape,
yeah,
and that also shows that when you are writing, you're writing for an audience,
yeah.
and you're writing for an audience that you think will be receptive to your
Yeah,
story.
sure, yeah.
It will be receptive to your story. So let's delve a little bit into the
Mhm.
into your thoughts on. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you, my brother.
There are several thoughts that you have.
Uh-huh.
The first one, excuse me, the first one is a strong reading culture keeps one always engaged with life.
Yeah.
So I think we've discussed that
Yes, yes, yes,
we
yes.
we 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 have this reservoir
Mm-hmm.
of books. Whenever you read a book,
Mm-hmm.
something lodges in your brain,
Yes.
and so when you're reading another book, you will
Mm-hmm.
say, oh,
Oh,
so Ernest Hemingway and
yeah.
Graham Greene,
Yes.
there's some similarities,
Yeah, yeah.
but you must have this reservoir. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot really
Mm-hmm.
critique a book or
Yeah.
discuss a book
Mm-hmm.
if you have not read lots of books.
And that's where our good old friend Maya Means comes into the
Yes,
picture. How do you
yes.
know it's
How
good?
do you know it is good?
It's good, yes. How
I
do you
hope
know it's good?
they are still reading that essay in the English department
What back in well,
in Liberia. I mean that, yeah.
well, I don't know. I don't know. I wish like even the one we did some time ago, which was uh thinking as a hobby.
Thinking as a
Yeah,
hobby,
thinking
yes,
as a hobby. That was
yes,
one of those that I often recommended to
yeah.
students in Liberia. In fact, even right here in the States, I often teach them to such essays, thinking as a hobby. How do you know it's good, especially when the thinking as a hobby is for general writing, and how do you know it's good is for in the literature classes. Of course, each one of those, both of them actually would be good for any class. And I brought the how do you know it's good because in that book, I mean, in that essay, there is a concept which is the uh, the process of association. It's good also for any research course where you are asked to read a whole lot. If you cannot read a whole lot, how would you know which essays are very good, are
Yeah,
dear to you?
yeah.
So you got to do a lot of reading. You've got to do if it comes to movies, you've got to watch a lot of movies to be able to understand or to appreciate what you are looking for whenever you are watching a movie, or what you are looking for whenever you are reading a book. And the more, while reading a particular book, a lot of other things come to your mind, the better it is, because it kind of energizes you, stimulates you to move ahead. Yes. So that's the same thing about what I always call the reading culture. What reading lifestyle do you have? Are you someone who uh, you know do much of this sitting here, sitting there, talking and not being able to read a book or read a number of articles? You've got to develop a strong reading culture, a strong uh, reading way of life to be able to, in fact, become a good conversationalist or something of that sort.
So the next one we have is I'll jump some religious
Yeah, just
relevance
yeah,
is irresistible in life. What do you
mhm.
mean by religious relevance?
Yeah, yes. The thing about it is that sometimes some of us think that religion is not important, but religion, whether we are more expressive about it or not, there is something within us that is yearning for something greater than us. There is sometimes a force which is irresistible. um, you will be walking somewhere, or you will be working in a place, and something impacts your life in such a way that the understanding of that thing is beyond you, and that is where you tap into spirituality. It may not be that of what you carry uh, on the hem of your sleeve and what have you, but it is there. That yearning, that fear, that yearning, that um, you know, being convoluted about certain things in your life, and you want dreams and all those things coming into the picture. You want to be able to tap into something beyond you, and that brings in the religious element.
Prof, I think faith. Religion, no. I think faith.
Well, what
Re-
what what is the faith, Jackie?
faith is a belief
uh-huh.
in a higher power,
We are talking about
a deep faith, an
uh-huh.
abiding faith.
Yeah.
People can be religious
Mhm.
and not have faith at all. So
Well,
for me,
okay.
religious is
Mhm.
religion or religiosity is this
Yeah.
outer wearing. I am
Okay.
religious,
Hmm.
but a deep faith is within.
Hmm.
You
And
have that faith in a higher power, you have that faith in God.
so,
But sometimes people be talking and you just looking at them because you know
uh-huh.
that you have that deep personal relationship with God, that you
Well,
don't need to show it.
yes. Okay. So this comes to perspectives. This
I think,
comes to
sorry,
uh,
Prophet, the
definition and
son.
what have you. And so, yes, it is possible that we can say, well, when I think about religion, I think about religiosity. I mean, or I think about spirituality. When I think about spirituality, I don't necessarily have to think about religion. So it depends on the preference of terms. It depends on how. So I'm glad you brought that out. So the thing about religion, think about religiosity and what have you, think about spirituality. Yes, those are worthy to be debated. And the thing about it is, what, whether we like it or not, what brings about the thing called faith, faith. It has to do with deep belief in something beyond us. It has to, yes, something mysterious, something of a mystery beyond us. That's what we are talking about. So there are others who will say, well, we can use the spirituality and religiosity, we can use them interchangeably. It depends on what someone's own experiences are. So I agree, we can say that. But at the center of both of them is the F word, which is faith. Uh,
The F word.
yeah, well, okay.
I'm sorry, Prof. I'm
Faith,
trying to move away from the sun.
faith, and then of course we can talk about fate, fate. You know, so yes, so it may not be religion as we talk about the outer expression of it. Someone who talks about spirituality will think about something deeper than that. Yeah,
So this book, Prof, I'm sorry, I'm moving around because the sun is in my face.
yeah, okay.
So Prof, this book, this
Mhm,
thank you, oh my brother. How did you
mhm.
come to have this title?
uh, there are certain things have certain rings. Certain words have their rings and what have you. Um, this book has a number of Liberian expressions. So that that echoic word, oh, thank you, oh, let's eat, oh, you can dance, oh, this girl fine, oh, that I wanted to play on that echoic type of expression as well. So that is what it is. And again, sometimes some of these things you get lucky in terms of like I said, these things. A lot of if you are an artist, a writer, a painter, what have you, uh, as you walk, or even a musician, as you walk, there are certain phrases that kind of play on your mind, and then you want to kind of. That is why often when they come, those inspirations, when they come, you want to write them down. And the more they play on your mind, you want to be able to run with them. And that was the case of thank you, my brother.
So Prof, when you decided that you are going to write it for teenagers,
Yes,
really,
yes,
for
teenagers.
teenagers,
Uh-huh.
did you talk to any teenager or no?
I've been living the life of teenagers of
No, I mean to ask them about their life or to ask them about the life while you are molding the character of
Mhm.
Teresa.
Of course, of course, of course. Every now and then, even one's own uh, friends, okay, young friends, old friends, and what have you, and you call and you all are interacting and something, some little. a phrase pops up and what have you, of course you write it down. So if you to come straight to the point is, uh, I think Mrs. Mark, Mrs. Mark, Althea Romeo Mark, one of
Mhm.
my past teachers, she had of late she's uh, very prolific on on Facebook and what have you. One of the things, yeah, I always tease her. I say you bluffing us, or every now and then you are in this place, you are in that place, and what have you. But she said something. She uh, uploaded a few nature scenes,
Yeah.
flowers, and all that kind of a
Yeah.
thing. And yes, and she said something like, you know, I always want to. I'm interested in observing these things. I said, well, aren't you a poet? I said, when does a poet start observing? When does a poet start observing?
Yeah.
When you are a writer. When you are a writer, you are often all ears, you are often all eyes. Your mind continues to a kind of think about so many things. So yes, in the context of, did you ever, of course, uh, I when I talk, or even when I read a lot of what is flowing on Facebook or Messenger, I see these things. So all those things become part of the repertoire of things to always keep in mind. Yeah.
So thank you, my brother.
Mhm.
Are you going to do another one in this? Like, is it going to be a series, or this is
Yeah,
just a
yeah,
one time
yeah.
off?
We'll see whether this girl uh, acquired the college education she sought, and then one wants to know what did she do with the education. The 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 uh, the boyfriend of hers who died at a relatively young age inspired her a whole lot. Inspired her a whole lot. Uh, Whenever she went around him, she wanted to do baby play and other kind of thing, and that's where he said something like, uh, "Too much fun and no work makes Sally a silly fool." so, 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 so yes, I know we have our time to do a play and what have you, play around, what have you. But my first instance is that you should acquire a solid education. And that is where also he used it and said, well, even though we are born at the bottom of society, that does not mean that we should be what? We should sign contract with what? With poverty. So
One of the
those,
Mhm.
huh?
No,
Yeah,
no.
yeah. So those little things here and there. And he will tell her something like, what makes you think you cannot acquire a college education? You think you want me to be one of these foolish? I'm not praising myself, oh, he said. I'm not praising myself, oh, but you think I want to be any kind of foolish, one of these foolish boys around here? You come down here, we play and what have you, and then by the time you know what's happening, Bella is going to come. You think I want to be part of? No, I don't want to be part of that.
Oh, okay. So, you're using the Liberian vernacular in the
Yes,
book.
yes, that's what. Yes,
Okay,
that's where.
in the
That's
book.
thank you, my brother. That's sort of the thing. So you find a lot of, in fact, you even find indigenous expressions in there in their raw state of, uh, you know, saying, state of expression. Yeah, you find them
But
in there.
this is not the first book for young people that you've printed or you've
No, no,
written.
no, no,
You've
no,
done
no,
some
no, no.
before.
Yeah, hmm,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I was saying, like the children readers, uh, Tennessee, the crab hunter, the story of Tea Girl, all those. I think I have about 8 or 9 of them like that. When after we came from what is it? After we came from the war, Sister Mary Lorraine Brown who for a long time was president of Stella Marie Polytechnic. She gathered a few of us together and threw in the idea, what if we wrote books, children's readers, emphasizing a number of values, so that we will help a generation that will become, very responsive to honesty, sincerity, hard work, all those important, I call them intangible assets of society, So we did a lot of those books like that.
Prof, I mean, listening to you speak about the books, no, I would call it the morality books,
Yeah, yes, the
you
morality
know.
books, yeah.
Uh, um, when I spoke to Robtel Paley, she also did two books,
Mhm.
Jade and Gbagba,
Yeah,
about anti-corruption, right?
yeah,
And in fact, Jade was published in Basso as
yeah.
well. And it was to teach young kids how to avoid corruption
Mm,
or corrupting behavior.
yeah.
And we come back again to the impact with this book, this your book, as well
Yeah.
as the
Mm,
other books that
mm.
you and others have
Yeah,
written
yeah.
for young people about values. And I find that although that's a really good thing to do, I mean the motive is sincere.
Mm-hmm.
If those values are not displayed at home,
Mm-hmm.
it's very difficult for the books to have an impact.
Mm,
I mean, I could read, that Jade says you're not supposed to take money,
mm,
right, from people. And then I go and I see my father giving
mm,
money to the
mm,
policeman who
mm,
stopped his car,
mm,
per se, right?
mm,
And I say, oh, but the book says you're not supposed to give the policeman's money. And my father then would say, and this is just a hypothetical, I'm
yeah,
just,
you too. Mm,
my father then would say, uh, uh, um, oh, but don't worry about it. He said he needs to eat. His wife needs to eat, things like that. So I think that it's a good thing, to have those books,
mm,
but those books must be reinforced
mm.
by behavior that may or may not be in the home.
I agree. I agree. So we were talking about impact. Sometimes we will even say that we don't even need to have churches. We don't even need to preach. You know, what I'm saying is, we all know that practicing good behavior is one of the most difficult things to do.
Yeah.
Otherwise, our world would be a different place. So the question is, do we then stop? No. That's the answer. No, we don't stop. You know, Jackie, what I believe in the heart of hearts is that, because, of course, as I just said, that good behavior is difficult to grapple with and hold and grasp and what have you, we do not stop. We have to be, and those who mean well, we have to keep at it. If it has to be a a phenomenon of Sisyphus, then that's what it's got to be. It is the mountain. It is the boulder. It is the boulder. We have to continue pushing. And here, something strikes at you, and that's earlier on we were talking about religiosity. We were talking about spirituality. It takes that one moment, that eureka moment. It takes that moment, and it doesn't happen en masse. It doesn't happen in a huge setting, in a huge group, and what have you. But each one at a time come face to face. Each one comes face to face with a moment of reckoning. And it is that power of reckoning that comes almost like finding gold in a huge pile of mud that we are talking about. This is the reality. I don't care which society we are talking about. If you have a murderous society, there comes that one moment. If you find a corrupt society, a corrupting society, there comes that one moment where someone can say, or two or three can say, how long can we continue this? I've heard this story, I read this story, and what have you, and it told me XYZ. I think it's better for us. So that redemptive moment is what artists, writers, and all those people are preparing for when they write a particular thing. You know,
Yeah.
look at this the story of Dante. Huh? Look at what he lays out, the Inferno and all these things, the scenes and what. Look at what the one person did that had an impact even on religious leaders. Huh? Uh, think about them.
So,
It
so
yeah, it's a difficult thing, and yet that difficulty must not deter us from plowing forward.
yeah, and also, I mean, books also foretell the future. I mean, there's
Yes.
1984 we're
Okay.
discussing.
All
Yeah,
right.
so they foretell the future.
Mhm.
So if you have an aspiring young author,
Mhm.
right? A young, I mean, adult, but
Yeah.
emerging author,
Yeah.
and he or she wants to write a book. Now, I know you say the motivation comes and then you decide what kind of book you want to write.
Mhm.
So let's say the person wants to write a book for the young people in
Mhm.
Liberia.
Mhm.
What what advice would you give them in
Mhm.
writing a book if they are a first time writer?
Yeah, but the thing about it too is that reading and writing go together. Reading and writing go together. Uh, one may come before the other, which is to understand the nuances of words, to understand the nuances of sentences. You want to be able to push yourself to see how these things are at work. If you want to dance, you probably need to go to a few serious dance parties to see how people dance. And when you get into your corner where you believe nobody is looking at you, then you put the music on and begin to practice the strokes. We can bring that image to writing. If one does not understand the intricacies of the use of language, how can one proceed otherwise? Of course, there might be some smart people who think that they can write before they can read, but I speak of what got me a little where I am, and that has to do with taking interest first in reading and then at some point being able to apply it to writing.
But they have ghost writers now, Prof.
Yeah, well,
They can write a book for you.
that's on them. You
Yeah,
know,
I think mhm.
anybody can do anything. I come to think about anybody can do anything, but where is your pride? Where is your
Some people
pride?
don't have any, but I think
Uh-huh. So there are people among people. That's where I was getting. Yes, please go ahead.
no, I was just thinking that also, I mean, you can decide to write, but I think the motivation for writing,
Mhm.
I think it supersedes whether you write, whether you can, you know the language well or not. Because if there, if there's and I think Toni Morrison said there is nothing, as horrible as an untold story inside
Mhm.
you. That's why every
Mhm.
time you meet people, they're telling you stories of their
Yeah.
life. They're telling you stories. Facebook is one place where people just brandish
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
life,
Mhm.
story because they want to connect with
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
outside. So
Relevance.
yeah, so
There were again.
the motivation for writing is also very, very, very important because, what is your story? Who are you?
Mm-hmm.
They try to answer that question
Mm.
in the stories they are writing.
Yeah.
Now, it's true that novels, some of them are completely different. They're just
Mm.
telling a story.
Yeah.
But if they are writing about their life, it's almost like they're saying to you, see me.
Relevance.
Yeah, relevant. See me. Even sometimes on Facebook, something happens to one person, and they put it on Facebook, and the other person can say, "This same thing happened to
Yeah.
me. Let me
Yeah.
tell you my story." So then
Uh-huh.
there's that
Process.
that kinship there. That,
Uh-huh.
yeah, that bond that we have. But yet another interesting thing with Facebook is that Facebook has given us the opportunity to share when it is a form of storytelling.
It is
Facebook
it is a
is a form of storytelling.
democratization. Uh,
Yeah.
it is a democratization of storytelling.
Yes.
That's
People.
Facebook. What is
Yeah.
it?
It. I mean, I learned so much about people
Hmm.
from Facebook. I
And then
would.
you get to a point of thinking that you know them very well because
You think you know them. That is the issue. Whereas
yeah.
on a book
Uh-huh.
is this. I guess you're reading a book about the person,
Yeah.
but you see the person every day. The person
Mhm.
putting their thoughts on
Yeah.
on Facebook,
Hmm.
and then all of a sudden you think you know that person. I've
Hmm.
I've written a lot of my beliefs on
Hmm.
Facebook, and somebody will write me quietly and say, "Jackie, I didn't know you were like that." I'm like, "You don't know me." You know the parts that I choose to show,
Mhm.
but
You are
you don't know
you are
me.
your own gatekeeper.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you don't know me. Yeah. So anyway, Prof, it's true. We should do a one on social media because it
Mhm.
is it is an instant
Yes, instant.
storytelling
Yeah.
venue for
Mhm.
most people.
Uh-huh.
And that's one thing that people tend to forget,
Yeah.
that not everybody is interested in your life, but if you
Yes.
put it out there and
Yeah.
people
Hmm.
people people read it, they
Yeah.
think they know you.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And unless they are your friends
Yes.
who already know you,
Yeah.
the other people don't.
No.
And
And
it's
what they try to do is well, make believe. That's
yeah.
more of a make believe type of thing.
Yeah. So again, we want to say congratulations on the book.
Yeah.
The book will be on Amazon. So
Yes.
please try
That's
and get a copy
yeah.
of the
Uh-huh.
book.
Uh-huh.
And some of these books, you guys need to get it because after a while, you don't find these books. And
Yeah.
then you're
It becomes
panicking because, Prof,
yeah.
I told you, look at my little copy of Murder in the Cassava Patch.
Oh, please don't show that part. You're getting me mad.
No, but look, it was $2, Prof.
Yes.
I bought
Wow.
it $2, and now you
Uh-huh.
can't find this book.
Wow.
You can't find
Wow.
this book,
Thanks for coming.
and my little marked copy. You can't find this book again. And
What
of course,
you did well, besides the little uh wound on it, it's clean. It's clean.
it's
You
clean.
know, it's clean.
Yes, I marked my book just
Uh-huh.
once or twice, but it's the original cover.
Yes.
You
Yes,
know,
that's right. Yes.
yeah.
Mm.
And of course, I mean, Ledoyen herself. I showed you the book, the Liberian Literary Voices.
What is
This is
that?
from Nagbe's book that he had
Gee,
way back when,
way back. That
and I
that
have
was
a copy.
that was when men were children, right?
Oh, but Prof, no, the Prof, you gave me this book
Yeah.
because I thought I got it, but look,
Yeah.
you
Oh,
have
my,
an inscription for Jackie with
it's
all
what is
my
called.
best wishes for a
It's
successful program. So that was when I was coming for my Fulbright
uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. Yes.
because this was copyrighted. You have it 1988.
Yeah. Whoa, 1988.
Yeah,
Can you imagine mimeography and all that kind of a thing?
yeah, but this
Pamphlet
this
type of
this copy,
literature. Yes.
I thought I bought it, but this is a
Yes.
copy you gave
Yes.
me
Yes. When you were coming
when I
for your
was coming
studies.
for my degree. Yeah,
Yes. How
you
about
see, so,
that?
so Prof is
So
here.
you got a history out there.
I'm still waiting for my grade, but I
Well, you can't get that. You got the accolades already, and that's better. We all
yeah.
have gone
Oh,
through
Prof,
that.
yeah. I
Yes.
just I just opened it to that page and I saw it. But anyway,
Yeah.
our we have to change the day of our show to
Mm.
bring people because Friday at 6 o'clock, people are going out. It's the weekend. It's hard to
Well,
bring people in, but we
mm,
always come to just chat. I
that
enjoy chatting with you, Prof.
that's right. And this because we want to make sure that a lot of people get it. I think it's going to be under $10. So you know that. Thank you, my brother. It's going to
Thank
be
you,
under
oh, my
$10.
brother. So please buy it. It's gonna be over under $10. It's
Yes,
just like a burger. So
yes,
you can
yeah. It's just like a burger. Yes.
yeah.
So
So you
we
can
want to make sure that a lot more people get that, and hopefully have a session where other people call in or can be invited to help us discuss the work. And
yeah
we always say that it is not just this work. One we want to talk about other people who have theirs and want to discuss them. We are open, and then of course, because the more we kind of discuss some of these stories, the wider the impact will go, and who knows, then others will be inspired, as you were talking about.
yeah
Inspired young people will be
inspired yeah
inspired to also, because we want to really, just as we are increasing, we are desirous of increasing the readership, we want to also increase the ridership, if you may. Yeah, let people, more people write. I think, was it yesterday, I saw Miss Onike Goodling.
okay
Goulding, you know her?
no
Geraldine. Geraldine. Geraldine is one of yeah, one of past students, but she's been doing well also.
okay
She, all this time, from what she posted, all this time, she said she had been wrestling with the temptation of wanting to write something about her wartime experiences.
yes
And it was just yesterday that she had a piece uh, on Facebook. I said, "Go on, girl, continue to write, and let us expand the territory of collective memory."
and Coto Reeves also.
Carter Reeves, yes,
Coto
Carter
Reeves,
Reeves.
yeah.
That's right.
So
Yes.
yeah, even in your Liberian literary voices, you talk about the
Mm.
different phases of Liberian literature.
Yes.
This phase is the one I wrote about. I said
Yeah.
this phase is not exile and return.
Uh-huh. Okay. All
This is
right.
the phase of exile and
And
return.
return. Yes.
And
Okay.
a lot of people now are
Mhm.
writing stories about that.
Yes. It is very
Yeah,
much important, and that is why, as we are running, that is why I wish by now I were in Liberia, and a seminar on Liberian writings, a seminar on
yeah.
Liberian writings would be a course. Maybe you do that in your senior year, where topics, what do you call it? Refugee, something, and return. What is it called?
Oh, exile and return.
Exile and return. All these things. We talk about them. We talk about how faith sustained us during the war and all that kind of a thing.
Yeah,
Uh, you know,
yeah.
so all those things become very much. If you have a seminar course, and I wish not only the University of Liberia, but in a number of our colleges and universities back home, people will have seminar courses, especially in the junior or senior year, where they will talk about topical interests. Uh,
Yeah, because
some
it's
of
also it could be therapeutic also.
Yeah.
People want to put their stories there for people to
Ye-
know what they went through.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, 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 yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah. Okay, Prof.
It,
Well,
it,
it was nice chatting.
yes.
I like the cover of the book.
Yeah. Thank you.
The illustrator did very
He
well.
he is one of the hot cakes back home in Liberia.
He
You
even
see,
got the little zinc houses behind.
yes, that's the thing that really caught my imagination. He did very well. He
Yeah,
did very well. Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you, my brother.
Yeah.
So as our lone commenter or Dennis says, congratulations, Prof, on your
Uh,
newest publication.
uh,
Yeah,
Janet, DJ, he's around. Yeah.
yeah.
We,
And,
we,
and
uh-huh.
Frank says, hello, my people, and thank you, oh, my Prof. So,
Thank you.
so Frank says,
how,
thank you.
how many times have you not heard Liberian say, "Thank you, my sister"?
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, yeah. So we want to thank you, Prof, for
Thank you, Jackie.
for joining us today to
Okay.
talk a little bit about your book.
Yeah.
We said we're going to just chat, and we did
Yeah.
that.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And we again urge any one of you who if you've written a book,
Yeah.
and you want us to discuss it, let
Mm-hmm.
us know. If you feel like, okay, I have this book that I've read that made an impact on
Yeah.
me,
Mm-hmm.
send us an email.
Yeah.
We will invite you on, and then if
Mm-hmm.
we've read the book, also we can discuss the book.
Yes, please.
Prof and I love to sit here and chat,
Yeah.
but we
Mm-hmm.
also it's your show also, so feel
Yes.
free to
Please feel
join
free.
us. Yeah, and
Yeah.
we want to say thank you
Yeah.
for joining us.
Okay.
Be safe, be
Mm-hmm.
cool out there. We know classes are about to start soon, so
Yes.
you're
Get
getting a
ready.
Prof. Classes are
Yes.
about to start.
It's frightening. You know the thing about the passing of time. By the time you know what's happening, all these things we're talking about, uh, August will be gone, September will be gone, November will be
Yep.
gone, and by the time we know about it, we will be in December. You know, putting
Christmas.
Christmas and New Year and another year.
Another
You know,
year.
yes,
And hopefully COVID will be a thing of the past.
of the past. Now we have for us. We have what? Uh,
Monkeypox.
I almost said money packs.
Monkeypox. And polio. Don't forget polio also.
Yeah, polio, all
Yeah,
these things.
yeah. So stay
No,
safe, my people.
yeah.
Stay safe. Stay safe in this world, this chaotic world. Stay
Yeah,
safe, be safe.
yes, uh-huh.
We wouldn't say mask up if you don't want to mask up,
Yes,
but safely distance yourself.
mhm,
Yeah, and we'll see you next week.
yes,
So next week we hope that that you one of you will have written us by then to tell
yes,
us something. But we're
yes,
gonna have a very good show next week.
yeah,
Prof and
yeah,
I have
yeah,
something really
mhm,
good planned. So you take
yes,
care of yourself,
okay,
and don't forget, whether
okay,
you are in Yukutown, you are in
uh-huh,
Fishtown, you are in
yeah,
Rocktown, we are
yeah,
all
Liberia,
Liberians.
yes,
Yes, we
that's
are all
right,
Liberians, and it
yes,
behoves us to greet
yeah,
each other and
yeah,
to show each other love.
uh-huh, uh-huh,
Yeah. So, Prof,
okay, Jackie,
take care.
thank you.
We are